You've had 3 different jobs, 3 different bosses, and somehow the exact same conflict happened every time. Different relationship, different person, same argument you swore you'd never have again. This isn't bad luck. This is a pattern your brain built years ago, and it's running on autopilot. Psychologists call it repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate familiar situations, even painful ones. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this keeps happening and how to actually break it. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't seek happiness first. It seeks familiarity first. If chaos, criticism, or emotional distance felt normal growing up, calm and stability can actually feel wrong. Not because you enjoy pain, because your nervous system trusts what it recognizes. So without realizing it, you start choosing situations that recreate that familiar emotional temperature. A critical boss feels oddly familiar if you grew up with a critical parent. An unavailable partner feels familiar if you learned early that love had to be earned. This is called a schema, a mental blueprint for how relationships are supposed to work, built in childhood. Psychologist Jeffrey Young identified these patterns and called them early maladaptive schemas. Once a schema forms, your brain uses it as a filter for every future relationship, job, and friendship. You don't consciously pick the same problem. Your brain quietly filters out anything that doesn't match the blueprint. Here's how it works in real time. You meet someone stable, kind, consistent, and instead of relief, something feels off, boring, suspicious, not real. Meanwhile, someone unpredictable and emotionally distant feels exciting, magnetic, familiar. That spark you feel isn't chemistry. Sometimes it's your nervous system recognizing an old pattern. This is why healthy relationships can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable at first. The same thing happens at work. If you grew up needing to earn approval, you gravitate toward bosses who withhold it. You work harder, hoping this time the approval will come. It rarely does. That's the pattern replaying. And here's the part that keeps it going. Your brain doesn't just recreate the pattern. It rewards you for the struggle. Chasing approval activates the same reward circuitry as chasing an actual goal. It feels like progress even when it isn't. So you stay in situations that hurt because some part of you is still trying to win the original situation. This is why people say, I keep dating the same person in different bodies. It's not a coincidence. It's your schema doing exactly what it was built to do. The good news is, none of this is permanent. Schemas are learned, which means they can be updated. But updating them requires something most people skip: noticing the pattern before you're already inside it. So how do you actually break the cycle? It starts with mapping the pattern instead of reliving it. Step 1. Write down the last 3 situations that hurt you: jobs, relationships, friendships. Look for the repeating emotional theme, not the surface details. Was it feeling unseen? Unworthy? Responsible for someone else's mood? That emotional theme is your schema talking. It's the thread connecting situations that looked completely different on the surface. Step 2. Notice your reaction to boring safety. If stability feels uncomfortable, that discomfort is information, not truth. Discomfort doesn't mean something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is finally right and unfamiliar. Step 3. Separate chemistry from familiarity. Ask yourself, do I feel good here, or do I just recognize this feeling? Those are 2 very different questions, and most people have never been taught to tell them apart. Step 4. Slow down big decisions involving people who trigger a strong, fast pull. That intensity is often your schema recognizing something familiar, not necessarily a sign of a healthy connection. Step 5. Practice choosing the unfamiliar on purpose, in small ways, until it stops feeling foreign. This might mean staying in a conversation that feels too calm, or accepting help you'd normally deflect. Every time you tolerate the unfamiliar without running from it, you're quietly updating the blueprint. This isn't about blaming your childhood or the people who shaped these patterns in you. Most of these blueprints were built to protect you at a time when you had no other option. The goal isn't to reject where the pattern came from. The goal is to stop letting it choose your future for you. Here's something worth sitting with. The next time a situation feels intensely, immediately familiar, pause. Ask if that familiarity is chemistry, or if it's an old wound recognizing its own shape. You are allowed to want something calmer than what you grew up with. That isn't settling. That's healing. Repetition compulsion only works in the dark, when you don't see it happening. The moment you can name the pattern, you take back a piece of the choice. So think about the last 3 same problem, different person situations in your own life. What was the emotional theme underneath all of them? Not the person, the feeling. Write it down. Not to judge yourself, but to finally see the blueprint clearly. Next time that familiar pull shows up, ask one question before acting. Is this good? Or is this just familiar? That single pause is often the only difference between repeating the pattern and finally breaking it. You are not doomed to keep attracting the same problems. You were taught a pattern, and patterns can be retaught. It takes noticing, it takes discomfort, and it takes choosing the unfamiliar more than once. If this helped you see your own patterns more clearly, subscribe next week. We're breaking down why comfort can feel like danger. And drop a comment. What's the emotional theme you keep noticing across your own? Same problem, different person moments? Because the pattern only repeats as long as it stays invisible. Name it, and you finally get to choose differently.